Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us on a Sunday. We appreciate it so much. And if you're watching us live, thank you for coming. And if you're catching the replay, we hope that we can give you a little bit of a glimpse into what we're all up to, because it is very exciting and very new for me. So if it appears that I'm reading, I am. but but that's okay, right? Because you have to start somewhere. I have a really good GLP-1 story, and I promise I will share it from the heart. But in the meantime, I'm just going to explain the basics. Let's just start with the basics. What even are peptides? Think of peptides like text messages your body sends to itself. They tell your cells what to do, like, hey, repair that tissue, or let's lower that inflammation, or time to burn some fat. Your body already makes peptides naturally, but as we age and go through stress, illness, or hormonal changes, and you're going to hear a lot about that tonight, those messages get a little fuzzy to our body. So that's where therapeutic peptides come in. It's such a cool thing to learn about and realize how this is working and why it's working. They help your body remember how to feel, repair, and regulate on a cellular level. Now that's where LEMD stands apart. Most supplements are like tossing confetti into the wind and hoping some of it sticks. But our peptides, they're like handing your body a targeted pharmaceutical level instruction manual with a licensed doctor helping you choose the exact plan for you. Tonight, you're going to hear some powerful stories, some from people who already are seeing amazing results, and others people who are just getting started with a really inspiring why. So either way, you're about to see how powerful these little messengers can be. And I'm going to tell you my little messenger story right off the bat. So 2 years ago, my friend Beth Graves, who's in my Brady Bunch group here, there she is, told me about these medications. And she shared with me that she had lost, I think at that time, like 30 or 40 pounds. And on these medications. And it was kind of like that time where you're like, shh, don't tell anyone, but I'm taking these meds and you should try it too, because I know you've been holding on to some weight that you really need to release and that you're not happy. And I was like, yes, how do I do it? She gave me the name of a telehealth kind of website type thing. I went to that website and I was able to order these medications. 2 years and 75 pounds released later, I'm here to tell you that there's nothing to be quiet about, that this is such a fabulous ride. And I feel like my old self, no, I feel better than my old self. I feel like I did in my 30s before I had my son, because that's when it all went down. In fact, I kind of joke about it. And I say to people, oh my gosh, I finally lost my baby weight. Well, my son, Ryan, is 37 or 27 years old. So it's been a long time, not 37, 27. So that took me a long time to release all that baby weight. And I'll tell you, having hormonal changes, food noise that wouldn't quit. Guys, I will tell you a little secret. I would get up in the middle of the night to eat candy because my body was craving sugar. And I would get down on myself so hard in the morning. And I would say, you're not going to do that. You're going to eat well all day. Right around noon would roll around and I'd be like, those chips are there. I could eat those. And then it would just go into this downward spiral. And then the next day I'd start with another self-loathing morning, looking at my body and wondering what the heck happened. How did I let this happen? And it was just this spiral of self-loathing and not being kind to myself until I found these meds. And it was like a switch flipped. It was like it created space. I had no more food noise. I didn't have to think about anything like that anymore. I just felt comfortable again being able to release this weight. And it came off slowly. It wasn't really fast. It was like 5 pounds a month consistently. And pretty soon I was like, gosh, you're going to need new pants. And oh my gosh, like even my shoe size went down. Like who knew that was a thing? It was so bizarre. Anyway, it's been an incredible experience. And because it has been so positive for me, I knew that I had to do something. I knew even then that I started sharing my journey, even when it was controversial and people were telling me, that I was taking medications away from diabetics and all kinds of crazy things. I still told my story. And so now I found this fantastic platform with LEMD to share my story with everybody, share it with the world, and to help a whole lot of people. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my first guest, my dear friend, Tina Butler. She has been, just such a great partner with me in the horse industry, as well as we've sold equine supplements together. We've done some other businesses together. She's just such a powerhouse human being, and she's just starting her journey. And I thought maybe we could have her share a little bit about what has been happening and why she wanted to start doing this with us.
Hey there, how's it going? Thanks for having me. So yeah, I've been friends. Actually, I've known Beth even longer than I've known you, which is kind of interesting. Her son and my niece were buddies for a minute, one summer in Kentucky, which was awesome. But the horse world's like that, right? We ebb and flow and we cross paths and it's just different gypsies in a different spot. So that's always good. And I looked into these a few years ago, actually, I was somewhere, I think it was at a horse show, WEC in Ohio, and someone had said they had lost like 50 pounds. And I'm always like, oh, well, tell me what it is, right? Like I've tried everything, done all the things, like, um, you know, I've always carried an extra person around. So although I'm very active and I do stuff all the time, I did a DNA test where they test your genetics to see, and I used to work with a company that built a product based on your DNA to the microgram. And when I went through that and they showed this whole thing, it's like, oh, you have all the FTO genes, right? So I have like I was like, thanks, mom and dad. I got all the FTO genes that are, not good. So, which is not fun. So it doesn't matter. Like my sister could pick up the refrigerator and not gain a pound, and I'd walk by it and gain 10, so, so this is kind of interesting, for you guys to bring it back around. I did try it. I don't think that it was, I don't know that the products were the same. Like I feel like these are a better grade products, which makes me feel really good about it. I love the idea that this pharmacy has all their accreditations and it's sterile. Like I love that. So for me, this is going to be a fun adventure. And this is actually something my sister even decided to do and some other people. So I'm like, this is good. Like people are looking for it, and the glutathione and the other products that we offer, I think are going to be awesome for just about everybody. And I mean, we live in the horse world. Everybody wants to be a little bit thinner, a little bit healthier, and we're always on the road. So if we can do something to help ourselves be better and more prepared, I'm pretty excited about that.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tina. It was so great to hear about your, noticing the difference between our products and other products. And I'm sure Beth will mention that later in the call because there is a difference. Let me introduce to you next my friend George. He is, and also known as Francis. He's kind of followed me from product to product. I've done some supplements, but this one, he said to me, gosh, this is different, Rhonda. Like this feels really good to me. And George is in a field that I think it will really be serving to not only to him, but to his audience and to his network. I think he's going to really do well here. So I'm going to just turn it over to you, George, my dear friend.
Thank you, Rhonda. Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm pretty excited to be here and share a little bit about myself and the journey that led me to LEMD. My story's a little different. My perspective is a little different. I just kind of want to talk to you about goals and how we can really change our life, even when we're afraid to. So my story is rooted in change, empowerment, and transformation. In really identifying our goals and working to turn them into a reality. So I grew up in Chicago, spent 25 years building a career in sales, traveling 2 to 3 weeks out of the month, 12 months out of the year across the country. Those of us in the horse business will be very familiar with that feels like. Along the way, I developed a pretty keen ability and understanding of assessing people's needs and how to help them find the right solutions. Looking back, I realized those experiences really helped prepare me for something even greater. While that life style was pretty thrilling and rewarding in many ways, over time, my priorities shifted. It wasn't as fulfilling as I was needing and wanting. I really wanted to be more present for the people I loved and for myself. That desire became more urgent as my parents' health began to decline. So I lost my mother in 2001 when I was 44. It was a profound turning point in my life. It was heartbreaking, but also deeply transformative because it awakened something inside of me, a part of me that I hadn't fully really known before. It was about my capacity for strength, compassion, and creating a safe space for others who were also navigating life's changes. 10 years later, my father passed away in hospice care. I was once again profoundly moved, this time by the extraordinary kindness and support of the hospice team, especially the social worker. That experience planted the seed of a new version for my life, even though I didn't yet know what form that was going to take. So, at 54, stepping onto a new path felt pretty overwhelming. I wrestled with doubts. Was I too old to start over? How would I support myself while I'm going back to school? Could I really pick up and move somewhere new? I almost talked myself out of it before I began, but I held tightly to a vivid picture of the life that I wanted. I drew inspiration from friends who had also overcome personal challenges, friends who sought the support that they needed to help them achieve their goals. Their journeys became part of the resiliency toolkit that I still carry with me today. In 2016, I took that big leap of faith. I left the Midwest, moved to New Mexico, enrolled in graduate school, and earned a master's degree in clinical social work. Along the way, I met the person I would later marry. That was a pretty unexpected and wonderful bonus on my journey. Early in my new career, I worked in geriatric residential care and hospice before eventually moving with my husband to the foothills of the Sierra Nevada mountains in Northern California. Today, I work as a psychotherapist, helping individuals recognize unhealthy patterns, overcoming that all too familiar self-doubt, and helping them create the lives that they envision. Over time, I began to see how psychotherapy and life coaching often overlapped, intertwined. I was inspired by that connection, and I expanded my practice to include coaching and empowerment work. I was able in that arena to offer broader support beyond traditional therapy. So one key lesson I share with clients is the importance of identifying your true goal. Too often we confuse the path with the destination. So for example, someone might say, I want to lose weight. What's the why behind that? The real goal often runs deeper. We want to feel healthier. We want to be more confident, greater self-esteem, more energy. Losing weight is just one pathway towards that deeper transformation. I encourage my clients to create a vivid, inspiring vision of the life that they want, their personal North Star. That vision becomes the compass that guides their decision, informs their choices, energizes their actions, and helps sustain their focus through the challenges of life. So if you think of it like your camera roll on your phone, we all have 100 snapshots, right? But you got to pick that one special photo that really represents where you want your life to go. If we think about the path versus the destination, it's like Google Maps. You type in your destination and it offers you multiple routes to get there. Your destination is your true goal. The routes are the steps and the tools you use to reach it. And that's where LEMD came in. LEMD, with their peptide programs, are really designed to help our body's natural function so that we can move closer to our goals, whether that's boosting energy, improving cognition, reducing pain and inflammation, or enhancing vitality. When I saw the science behind LEMD, I didn't hesitate. I jumped right in and I became a brand partner. I know these tools belong in my own wellness toolbox, and I want to be able to share them with my friends and my family and my clients. At the heart of it all, many of us share the same desire, and that's to support our bodies and our minds so that we can show up for ourselves and for others in our life as the healthiest, most vibrant versions of who we're meant to be. So I ask you, how do you want your life to look?
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Francis. It was such a great way to kind of pull the pieces from your life as you grew together and just kind of wrap it in a big package and say, I'm going to add this to my life because I know it's going to help other people who are in my life
Mhm.
as well as myself. And I think that's what we're all about, is to create those spaces so people have a place and something a little bit different to offer to people that's really not that well known yet. So it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And welcome. Thank you for your story. So my next guest
Thanks.
is Wendy. Wendy Abner. She is a Facebook friend of mine, just a great gal. We've been friends just on Facebook, you guys, and I've been following her and following her. And she posted a post a few weeks ago when I first joined Ellie about how her hormones were whacked out and how her doctors weren't listening to her and how she felt unheard. And she was kind of over it. And I reached out to her and I said, Wendy, you're speaking straight at me. I know this is for you. I know you need to look at this. And she sure did. And here we are a few weeks later, a lot closer and a lot closer to her goals too. So, Wendy, if you could share your whole story, we'd love it.
Great. Thank you so much. Well, yeah, that was so true. I've really been on this journey for about 4 years now. Hit 55 and it's like shit hit the fan. Came off some meds that caused me to gain 40 pounds in a very short period of time. And all my doctors would say is, oh, it's just menopause. Oh, it's just getting older. Oh, it's just, and I was just over it. Truly, I felt unheard. I went to doctor to doctor, doctor. Very few had anything helpful at all. And in my family, I'd probably say 90% of the women that I remember that still, even my mom, everyone gained 30, 40, 50 pounds midlife and stayed large and kept getting larger. And I've pretty much made my mission since I came out of college that I'm not going to be one of them. I've been in the fitness world, I've been an athlete, I exercise like crazy, and what used to work doesn't work anymore. It's very frustrating. Even my trainer that I hired, and she's a good friend of mine, and I go to all her classes at the gym. She couldn't figure it out either. Like for a year, we trained, I lifted heavy weights. Of course, I put on some weight, I gained muscle, which is great. I have a lot of lean muscle. I've always carried a lot of muscle, but this isn't all muscle. So she's like, well, get your blood work done. Looked at the blood work. Nothing's wrong there either. So I'm like, what else? So I've been watching Rhonda from afar, just and being very skeptic. I mean, this was all new and it didn't have a lot of great um I guess, media out there about it. There was a lot of skeptics. And especially coming out of COVID, that was a whole thing too. So I just finally asked her, like, I just kept seeing her positive, and she was really being very bold, sharing at a time when it really wasn't received well on Facebook. And I had some other friends use it too, and I thought they're just going through their doctor. I said, well, my doctor won't even write me a script. Like they don't even believe in it. So how am I going to get this stuff? Well, then I put in that post and I'm like, this is how I'm going to get this stuff. I'm going to get it through Rhonda. And I was just excited because um, it was just the timing. Like I just come from another doctor's appointment and I'm like, I'm just done being in this body that I can't control. And it's a very, it just takes away all your self-confidence. I'm a very outgoing person. And to just have all this extra weight just is very heavy internally as well as externally. So I'm excited. I started last Sunday. I take my second shot tonight. I'm doing the semaglutide. Had really no side effects whatsoever that I can tell, other than I'm hungry. Like I do eat a lot of protein, but I'm noticing my stomach is growling where it wasn't growling before. So I don't know really know what that is. But so far so good. And I just love the support here. Rhonda and Beth have been wonderful, and I'm expecting really great results. The only one doctor I'll say that was positive was my PA at my OBGYN's office, and she's young and she's new. And she's like, my fiance is on peptides, and so is my mom. So she gave me all kinds of, suggestions on what to do because she was ready to write me a script. And I'm like, sorry, already got it. It's already in my refrigerator. And so we talked about you might want to add this into your practice because this is a way that you can provide really safe, effective, and then also just know that they can be building a business as well. So we kind of talked about that as well. So I'm always looking for the business side. I've been an entrepreneur for many, many years, stay-at-home mom, been through lots of different businesses as well as I enjoy doing real estate. So I'm always looking for the business side too, how you can help other people, but also help yourself. So I'm excited for the ride.
Oh, thank you so much. I love your story so much. It's just a powerful kind of just, that's what I think so many women especially are experiencing. They go to their doctor and their doctor's just like, well, eat more celery. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
It's your fault. Right. And so
Exactly.
we're just shamed. And I can't tell you how many my LEMD customers have come to me and said, I would rather order this way. I don't want to hear it from my doctor who's going to just tell me I'm fat and that, I need to do better, because I don't want to hear that anymore. And I can just so relate to that. And I think that's really happening, is that they're not listening. And I'm so glad that you found this and that you actually did find a PA who would listen to you. I'm fortunate that my doctors are all for this. My gastro doctor, everybody has been like really rooting me on and helping me through this. But I know a lot of my friends don't have the same experience. So I'm going to turn this over to Beth. Beth is my dear friend who started me on this journey 2 years ago and then joined LEMD, and she's going to tell you a little bit of her story, her peptide story. But dear friend, like when Beth tells you to do something, you just do it. So when she said you need to do this, I literally was like, I don't have time to talk to you now. I have to hang up my phone and go and do what you just told me to do. So I always trust her with all of my things. And she's just one of those great people. So welcome, Beth. Thank you for joining us and giving us and closing us out tonight. You have to unmute, Beth.
I would know this. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing your story. And also, I mean, so many of us can relate to knowing that something is going on and that belief, like this is just the way it is. The women in our family, we gain weight post-menopause, and not really looking at what is the root cause. And that's so discouraging. And that's one of the biggest pieces of the community that we're building here, is so people can feel seen and heard and let go of the shame, like Rhonda was saying. And George, I loved when you talked about the destiny, not just the destination, but the journey along the way. And so my experience with the GLP-1, I made the decision early on that I had to really work on a new belief around my body is healing, and food is safe, and it's safe for me to just enjoy this journey, to enjoy food, not have good foods and bad foods, and celebrate every step of the way. So those of you that are just getting started on your journey, take the pictures, do the affirmations. My journey went like this, and that's what, Wendy, when you said that you're feeling hungry this week, that's normal. And you're on the lowest dose, and we'll talk about that. You'll start to titrate up. And just one person told me about, specifically, we're talking about the GLP-1 medications. There's so many other regenerative peptides, that this protocol, the medication, the therapeutic peptides, whatever you want to call them, gives you a pause between that moment. George, I bet you know the quote. It's Viktor Frankl, the moment between, what's the quote? You're muted.
Yes, that's one of my favorite quotes, Viktor Frankl. There's a space between stimulus and response, and in that space is where all your power lies.
Oh my gosh, how did I know that you would actually know that quote? Yes, and that quote, I want you to really take that in, because between stimulus and response, so much of us did not have that ability to pause because there was so much food noise and chaos. And so I'll share with you my story, and then we're going to walk through what is LEMD. But my journey has been going on for a long time, and my relationship with food and my body started off in a very unhealthy way. I think I was on my first diet at 12 years old. In high school, I fell into patterns of disordered eating, counting every bite, obsessing, running, not getting enough nutrition to the point that my hair would fall out. And I was so tied to my worth being a number on a scale. And it wasn't about my health. It was so much about control. And that stayed with me into adulthood. So after having my babies, it intensified. I was literally running the day I got home from the hospital and terrified that my body would never be the same. And I think about how sad that is, that I just didn't enjoy that journey, that moment. So went into restrictive eating, binge episodes, and guilt and shame. And then my body like about 45, all of a sudden hormonal shifts, perimenopause. I all of a sudden, all of those tricks weren't working. And I gained a tremendous amount of weight in a short amount of time. And it was the first time that I realized like willpower won't do this. And I hired trainer after trainer, as Wendy was saying. And I remember walking into the gym and one trainer was like shaking his phone and he's like, "You didn't count your macros correctly. How do you expect to lose?" And he'd weigh me in every week. And for somebody that had had disordered eating, and now I was on the other spectrum of it, there was so much shame. And so I wanted to share my story of healing. This was more about my mental health journey, and that when I started in my third week, I noticed that the guilt, the obsession, that food noise was finally gone, and it gave me space to suddenly like shift from thinking that my body had to be a certain way for me to feel worthy, and to really, really look at what are the stories that I had been telling myself over and over and over again, and how did I want that to shift? So George's his conversation tonight really, really, really hit me hard, because I it wasn't just about like, hey, oh my gosh, I'm finally releasing this weight that I had gained, because most people didn't know me as 50 pounds heavier. Like, so I stopped showing up to places like high school reunions or places where people would be that might see this new body of mine. And then my sister had a really, really serious diagnosis. And that was this moment of, you're spending so much time, and there was shame in this, worried about the size of your body, and she just wants to live. And it really hit me that I needed to do a lot of work spiritually, a lot of work with the food trauma, the diet trauma. So the medication, the GLP-1, was the assist. It helped to build the new neural pathways for me to finally heal my body disordered eating. And I can relate with Rhonda of, okay, it's Sunday night. I needed something. It was an addiction. And it's really hard to have an addiction to food when you're around food all the time. If it's alcohol, we don't have to be around alcohol all the time. So a lot of people said, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe you're turning to that." And I was like, "I can't believe you aren't." um, because for the first time I was able to really, I had space to work on decades and decades and decades of what it how it felt to live in a body that carried so much shame, whether it was being too small, too large, broken because of menopause. And the more that I talked about this, the more I realized that most women had grown up with those same stories. And I also realized that my own daughter saw me on a diet forever, counting and the low fat to the no fat to the high carb to the low carb. I did one that was like 600 calories, and it was all low carb, and this was the last diet. I lost 28 pounds and gained it back like immediately. So this medication and the decision to start really started me on a journey of healing. And then realizing, if I'm not willing to have the conversation and I'm not willing to show what it felt, what it looked like, because I was like, I don't want to put before and afters up because I don't want to shame people for the size of their body. But what it was is I wanted to tell the story, and I needed a community in which to tell that story. And like Rhonda said, I'm pretty good at like, it started when I think I was 15, and I could say like, "Hey, will you go into 7-Eleven and buy us some like peppermint schnapps?" But I found that ability is when you speak your truth and you bring people into the conversation is a great way to heal. And I just knew I needed to tell this story and I didn't know how that would look. I had helped Rhonda. She was the very first person that I was like, hey, get started. And she'd fill me in. So as the universe always comes in, whatever your higher power, for me, it's God. And I was like, I'm just, my business coach said, put it in your Instagram stories. Let's stop that GLP-1 shame game. And that day I got connected to LEMD. And I was like, I just want accessibility and education and community for all of the folks out there that are struggling or that don't even know about regenerative health. We think about when George shared losing his parents and he had worked in the end life stages. And then you start to think about longevity. How can we jump in before the end life and work on the quality of life with regenerative medicine and being able, as and another big thing for me is I have a 90-year-old mother that that I want to be able to support for hopefully the next decade with physically being able to be there for her, physically, mentally, and spiritually. And I've even talked to her about she's in a chat. Like, get this, you guys. She's in a messenger chat. We've probably had it for 13 years when we were counting Weight Watchers points together. And she's still putting her points in the chat at 90 years old. I was like, Mom, can you just enjoy food? You're 90. And she's like, maybe I'll try that skinny shot. So what is LAMD? And you're thinking, okay, there's all these stories, and maybe you don't have a weight to lose. That's okay too, because there are so many different peptides that are for inflammation, that are for regenerative cellular regeneration, for brain health, for sexual health. And we have them all. And our website is a catalog of information with scientific studies. And you can come into our longevity community. We educate there. And on Thursday nights, there's an educational series where we talk all things peptides, because I was like, my gateway into all of this was one day seeing a TikTok story about tirzepatide. So I want to share with you guys what it looks like to place an order with LEMD. I'm going to try to get to my screen here. Can you see that? So what we're going to talk about is how to get started. And you go to a beautiful website, which I'll show you, and you're going to either click longevity if you're looking at you don't want the weight loss medications. We'll talk about that. Or you click weight loss. There's different categories. Our overall umbrella is longevity. And inside of longevity, we have weight loss, we have sexual health, soon to come diagnostics. Because hormonal health is a huge, huge thing. When I was 45 and starting on this train of not knowing what my body was doing, like not releasing any weight and inflammation, a lot of people told me that, wow, you're just depressed. And really what was happening is my estrogen was so low that showed up in a way that I was having like that. Somebody would have looked at my hormones, we might have been able to combat some of the stuff that was going on. And that's just education. Doctors don't know. Even my own doctor, who told me not to do the GLP-1, now is using it herself and helping her patients to get started, because she was able to see in my blood work and my husband's blood work the massive, massive difference, that because, we went behind her back and did it for 6 months. And she's like, okay, something's up here, because you just don't have these numbers look like this. And that was her education, was us actually, we were our own advocates. So let's talk about how to get started. When a brand partner will send you a link, and you'll click on that. And if you're looking at weight loss, you're going to either choose GLP-1 plus B12, that's semaglutide, or GLP-1 GIP, that's tirzepatide. There's a lot of stuff going on with big pharma not wanting compounding pharmacies to still have access, but this is a personalized prescription for you that our medical team creates. So we're able to still offer it, but we don't have the name on the website. You're going to then click on the one that you want. We'll talk about the difference between the two, add it to your cart, and the medical questionnaire will pop up. And you're going to fill out this medical questionnaire. They want to make sure you've had a physical and blood work in the past 3 years, and that you don't have a pre-existing medical condition or a medication that would cause you not to be a candidate for the peptides. This is so much better than just going online and having no one look at what's going on, because there are some people that should not be on certain peptides. For example, our sexual health chill pill, somebody that there's oxytocin in it, and somebody that is on a dopamine receptor of some sort, they're not going to allow that because of the indication or something like that. But I love that, because I'm a brand partner and all I do is point you to the website and share my story. And I share a lot of research. But in the end, we are just pointing to the website, and we have a whole team of physicians that's looking at your questionnaire. And then you're also able, once you've placed your order, to have medical guidance, to talk or FaceTime with a doctor. A doctor reviews your health history, usually within the first hour or two, and you'll receive a text and an email every step of the way. Your submission is being reviewed, and then the medication, that once approved, goes to a 503A accredited pharmacy, and it ships overnight to your doorstep. I think that, Wendy, you got that beautiful package, Tiffany blue with your journal, and the people that do microdosing, they don't get all of the pretty package, so they're always like, I'm going to go order the weight loss version. We're going to talk about the difference between microdosing and the weight loss version. So I just want to share a couple of some of our success stories, and most of these, every person in here is a personal friend of mine, and some, like Kelly, she didn't have a tremendous amount of weight to lose, but she also had a lot of inflammation. She was dealing with some mental fogginess, and she was very interested in the brain health portion. And so she did the microdosing. Here I am hiding half my body behind my son in a photo. And I remember this day specifically seeing a photo of myself, and I was sitting sideways, and it was a group photo, and I didn't even know who I was. But more than anything, I didn't feel comfortable in my own skin because everything hurt and I was foggy. And the medication truly, truly shifted even my memory, because I was carrying so much inflammation. So let's talk about what's the difference. So there's semaglutide and tirzepatide. It's a GLP-1 plus B12 or the GLP-1 plus GIP. And it's just the next level up. The first one was the semaglutide or semaglutide, however you want to say it. The second one was tirzepatide. Now there's a third one coming out, retatrutide. We're just getting better and better. But we do know that if you, like Wendy is on the semaglutide, I would say that 80% of my personal clients go with the semaglutide. It's a little bit less expensive. She actually meant to order the other one and said, what the heck, I'm going to start on this one. And I have people that have said that tirzepatide, they have fewer side effects, but we start your dose so low. A lot of those side effects are because people are titrating up so fast. So there's dual action in the tirzepatide and added metabolic support. Some people think, and I know Rhonda has lost all of her weight on semaglutide. So we've got mostly semaglutide people here. I'm a tirzepatide person just because I was like, oh, you tell me there's like a 2% faster way. Remember I was telling you about my obsession with diets? I was always going to go with that one. And my insurance covered it for my first 3 months. I was able to get a prescription for it. And then when I went to the pharmacy and they said that will be $1,900, that's when I was like, I think I need to find another option. So we have weight loss versus microdosing. Microdosing, not the mushrooms, but microdosing is small doses of the medication. And what we are finding is that I have a neighbor who's a cardiologist, and he said, Beth, we are finding the cardiac tissue in patients regenerating in studies. This is for people that have a BMI of less than 29 that maybe aren't even wanting to microdose to lose weight, but they want inflammation support. They want the neuroprotective, I see a typo on my slide, and health benefits, and maybe gentle appetite regulation. You stay on the lowest dose, which is 2.5 milligrams, without titrating up as you do with the weight loss protocol. So I have many, many clients, because I started this back in July, that did not have weight to lose, but they started to read about how it was helping the neuroprotective and health benefits mostly, and the relief from inflammation. And they're doing even half a dose of the microdose and noticing people that have had Lyme disease, people that that are dealing with all kinds of health issues. If you want to listen to somebody who, there's many podcasts, but Dr. Tina, Tyna, here's some research. We can send that over to you. But when I read that GLP-1 drugs may reduce the risk of 10 cancers, that was enough for me to say I will be microdosing a small amount of this since I'm at goal weight for the rest of my life. So the last thing that I want to show you, and I'm going to see if I can share this, is to just give you a little view of, maybe I can get there from here, of what it looks like when you go to the LAMD site. And you can take a look at that tonight. It's like, it is such a great place because they do put the research on it. So can everybody see your shopping with Beth Graves? So right here is our different categories and how they'll tell you exactly how it works, how you fill out the questionnaire. And let's say that you go to longevity and you're like, oh my gosh, like what peptides do I choose? Just start to think about, what do you want the end result to be? What is your goal? And for one of you've heard about NAD, I'm sure, and this is cellular regeneration. It helps with energy. Be like, okay, it plays a crucial role in energy production and overall cellular health, anti-aging. That's for me. Learn more, and then you can keep reading. And I encourage you, if you're a brand partner, to spend some time on this website. Because everything we need is here. So for example, the microdose, here's the GLP-1 plus GIP. You click on that, you click purchase, and then it will say to register or log in. You have your client register for the account. Once the account is registered, you put that in your cart and you fill out your medical questionnaire. And that is it. So one of the things that I love the most about LAMD is the community and the education. And you're supported by a doctor network. You're also supported by the community of us. Like you heard, we had George talking tonight, and immediately I thought, oh my gosh, I need to get him on the schedule because we do a once a month just community gathering in our longevity group. And one of the biggest things that we've talked about is visualizing and then enjoying the journey along the way. Because I know George knows this quote as well. What's the Mary Oliver quote about one wild and precious life? He's like, I got Viktor Frankl.
I'm familiar with the quote. I can't repeat it right now though, Beth. Sorry.
Okay. I thought we had a thing, like we're going to take it on the road. Like I've already been on the road. But I want to thank you guys for all sharing your stories, and I think that it's really fascinating. There's so many statistics around regenerative health, where we're going in this world of longevity, and to be able to, as Wendy said, to be able to build a business along with this mission. And then also what we're looking at is being able to build online in this space with telemedicine. And we have so much more. The vision of Honey Sagari, our CEO and founder, she's a good personal friend of mine. In fact, when Rhonda was coming aboard, I think Rhonda had 3 Zooms with her within like 8 hours. She was so excited about meeting this new team because she's just about making an impact. And so somebody had to go first, and it was her, because no one's ever done this in this space, offering the commissions that they're willing to pay us on the affiliate side, and then also building a sales team as well that brings a lot of flexibility and financial freedom. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Rhonda, and thanks for having me on.
Thanks, Beth. Oh my gosh, that was so great. I just want to thank everybody for taking the time